at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis with arguably the busiest man between the competition committees and the interviews and all the evaluation processes, John Elway. John, this is your second Combine with head coach Vic Fangio. Having gone through it once with him, does that make the evaluation process easier, and how much smoother does it become in the second year?
You know, the more you get to know each other, the better, when you start thinking alike and have an idea how the other person thinks, it makes it much easier. And so I think that, I've really enjoyed working with Vic and look forward to the second year with him. And just because, watching him and what he did the first year and how bright he is and his knowledge of football and also his relationship with the players and how he's grown there. So I think, it's been great. And so to get here, it's much more comfortable. You're not trying to learn what a guy's all about and what he's like. And so, because we've been through that for years, so it makes it much easier.
When you've mentioned before, when you get those guys in there, you have such little time with those prospects during the interview process. When those guys are sitting in front of you and Coach Fangio, what can they do in that 15 minutes to make you say, hey, this is a guy we should consider?
I think it's more of not necessarily does he send you through the roof, but kind of maybe eliminates himself, right? So you look for anything that's maybe more on the negative side than you look on the positive side, because like you said, 18 minutes is not long enough to really get to know a person. So really you look for red flags, and other than that, kind of get a feel for them, and you can get a feel for the personality for in that short period of time. So that's really what they're for. And then really we use each 45, and then after that, and then we get the 30 visits before the draft. And so if there's more questions that we have on certain players that we want to do some more work with or get around a little more, get to know, then we'll bring them in for the 30.
When you've mentioned before stacking draft classes, you think about 2018 with Chubb, Sutton, Phillip Lindsay, and then last year with Noah Fant, Dalton, Drew. Draymond Jones played well down the stretch. When you see those guys come in and make those immediate impacts, does that put more of an emphasis on guys being able to play right away in today's game? Well,
and I think that's important. Yeah, they have to, especially with the expectations. And so especially, those top 3 and 4 rounds, especially the top 3 rounds, you're hoping you can find impact guys that not necessarily are starters for you, but they can have an impact on the season. And so, we've been fortunate the last couple of years and really found some gems in the fact of those players that we have. And so, we've got a bunch of picks this year. And so hopefully we can do it again, add to that, realizing that still it's a rookie class. It's going to be rookies that, they can help you, but they're still going to be young, and just expect that the younger guys that we had that are going in their second, third, and fourth years, those are the guys that hopefully can step up and continue to get better.
We mentioned one of those guys, Drew Lock. He's going to have a new offensive coordinator, a new quarterbacks coach to work with this year, and Pat Shurmur and Mike Shula. You haven't gone through it yourself, a coaching change inside a quarterback room. What can he do to prepare himself for that transition this year?
Well, I think first of all, those are 2 great coaches, Mike Shula and Pat Shurmur, are going to be tremendous help for him. And the fact that the experience that they have in this league, the people they've worked with, the young quarterbacks that they've worked with, the breadth of their background as far as offensive football is tremendous. And so, those 2 guys are going to be great for Drew. Now, obviously, I think we're going to continue to try to do a lot what we were doing and with the same terminology and those type of things to make it as easy on Drew as we possibly can. And I think that with that being said, also in Pat's experience, play calling and his background, I think is going to be, help him a lot.
The first pick that you ever made for the Broncos is now in his 10th year. Vaughn Miller going into his 10th season. What kind of role does he need to play this year for you guys to have success?
Well, I think that Vaughn still has a lot of football left in him, and I think that I think he could play better than he played last year. And I think that he would probably tell you that too. And I think that to get the excitement back with the youth that we have, we can use his leadership. Being in the year 10, in the league 10 years, he's still a very talented guy, and so it's hard to believe it's been 10 years. But, would love to have, Vaughn go out maybe in the next couple of years. Who knows how long he wants to play, but hopefully we can get another championship before he's done.
You've spent in Indianapolis between, competition committee meetings and year after year evaluations, what amounts to probably months of your life here in Indianapolis. When you think about this week and how important is the evaluation, how important is this week for you guys to get right for the future of the organization?
Well, this week's so important because of the information that we get here, right? Because you had 300 players, and so they're all on the same playing field here, and so that's why all the medical that we get is very important. The psychological testing is very important. Their workouts on on the field and what they do there. So all the information that we round up here obviously goes into their report, which is evaluated once we get into our draft meetings. And that's why this week is so important as far as the information that we do get, because it's, you know, in depth and it kind of really, you know, it tells us a lot about them. You know, a lot of times, you know, we get here and a player, you think he's a 4-6 guy and he's a 4-4 guy, and then vice versa, you think he's a 4-4 guy and he's a 4-6 or 7 guy. So that's why you see guys kind of going up and down the board, but you know, that's why this week's so important.
We are roughly 8 weeks away from the draft. Plenty of work to get done before then. John, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
You got it.